Hola, teacher, you keep on popping up between my video clips. That is not mine, but the video clips I have chosen to keep me going somehow. They give me a lot of energy, and they are connected very intimately with my life, my private life, where I had the music, so I could dance whenever I wanted to. Of course, I had no idea I was connecting with the performers or singers or whoever else, perhaps the director himself, because if it encompasses that many different styles, it's quite probable that there's the person above that. Above the people that we actually see. Um, I, perhaps I should prepare the answer continuing our dialogue concerning teaching foreign languages, but I am totally exhausted by the masses that are accumulated onto I don't even say if I can still say my body, but there's some of my body. There's certainly my special symbol from childhood, the sign of a lamb that I have on my forehead, my left forehead, not forehead, forearm. Um, so, you belong to the Assangeist movement. You are modern, and basically, the key difference between your perception of life and mine is that you're a communist, really. Perhaps you're not for all the crimes committed by the communists wherever communism was breaking through to take over the rest. I don't know. You look pretty rich, so I'm not sure if you are about one of those who actually had a problem because they had no money, so they believe everybody must have no money, and then we will be equal. Um, basically, this is a different approach. I'm an individualist, and I believe that all people should be individuals. I don't care if this is a totally weak person due to all sorts of circumstances. Of course, if a person is an invalid or somehow damaged by life, so much trauma that the person can not really uh, keep on living normally because there's only pain, there's suffering, there are all those losses, there is abuse, there are people who are unfair. The person does not have what I have the advantage of, that is I had the chance to learn and to win over people in confrontations that you encounter day by day, thanks to the intelligence and so on, which was unblocked, which was able to develop for a long time since childhood. It could as well be blocked by whatsoever reasons. I don't know. My mom could have taken me outside, put me in front of the beautiful sight, and somehow forget that something might happen to me when I'm sitting there and the sun is like crazy. So something happened to my head, and now, sorry, I am retarded. I don't know if something can be done about it for the very person with the very brain, no intervention from outside or not. This is above my level. But basically, I believe that each of these persons is an individual as a spiritual being. I don't know if you have any idea of the spirituality in that sense at all. If you believe that there's any spirituality or only digits. If you believe that, or energies or whatever. If you believe that actually the spirituality can be is in Buddhism viewed as the ocean. If I understand it correctly, I believe I do. It connects with the Hinduism thinking, where there's antimatter, that is the spirituality, no, nothing material at all, and the matter. So basically, the way to freedom, where you can move with your thought, where thanks to your thought wherever you want, is getting rid of all that um, keeps you here materially. You would probably claim that these are illusions, that these people just have some brain phenomena and has nothing to do with whatsoever travel. I have a totally different attitude to it. I know that the people from your scientific circle, if we can call it circles, but from your scientific world, have made experiments where you would travel to different planets or different time units, so to say. I know that it can be created, so the person actually has the feeling that, oh, yesterday night I ended up in a different part of the universe, and guess what I saw? You can prepare it, you can create it, and the person can believe for the rest of her or his life that they have the freedom to travel by the single thought. So, you know what happened? This was possible. And then people were imprisoned. And now they are giving the impression. So basically, the road you travel in communism is you travel from the real freedom, which was then restricted by the imprisonment in masses, and the damage done to the people's brain. I had friends who were shockingly intelligent. One of the best examples, I believe I can use his name because he translated Europe, not Europe, but I don't remember exactly the title of the book, but Norman Davis's book having to do with Europe. This is a collection of essays actually on history. So he translated it, so his name is really public, Bartek Pieczek. So he was top 100% English philology and 100% what do you call it? Not artificial intelligence, but intelligence, IT. Yeah, you see, that's what you are doing to my brain. Which is also a comment on learning a foreign language. So, do they open it up or do they get it blocked? Which is why my students were not progressing as they might have been or could have been had there been no blocks installed. So this is the kind of person. And on the other hand, actually I had a personal relationship with him, which is not a sexual relationship between a man and a woman. This is friendship, but this was quite full of trust. Then it broke down thanks to you, of course. I mean, you understood as Assanges generally, and the science group. So, even with him, at one point you realize that there's this spiritual deficiency. And trust me, if you are a spiritual person, you just know it. Because spirit is not about going to church and praying and then, oh my God, Jesus Christ spoke to me. Perhaps he did anyway. Or perhaps this is some Assange's manipulation, or Hollywood manipulation, or Bollywood manipulation, or Chinese manipulation. China has gone, what do you call it, eyes on? That is just, it's a killer, totally. But you can also assume that behind all those technological phenomena, there is God as the first cause, and you cannot really suppress it as untruth because you do not know. And I do not know. I'm not saying you don't know, and I know. I'm just saying we don't know. So perhaps you could allow for agnosticism at least. So this spiritual identity is something different, something that I cannot quite explain. But this basically this awareness of your real identity, and you have different attitude to the world, you have different attitude to life, you have different attitude to love, you have different attitude to everything, and this is the beginning of all. So you see, if you think of just let's focus for a while on learning a foreign language. 3 weeks and you are fluent. Schliemann was, I don't know if he was fluent, but if we think of the ages back, 3 weeks foreign language. He needs to travel, the archaeologist, he wants to travel. He travels here, he travels there, he discovers amazing things, which means obviously that whatever civilization there wanted to be discovered, so I believe the civilization also wanted him to speak the language. And this is basically how it happens. And perhaps there were no other civilizations that were suppressing it. So because these are two different problems. There's the civilization that wants you, and then there's the civilization that doesn't want the other civilization to succeed. So it's not only about you, it's about the civilization. So that was open for him, obviously. And if you think of it, some crazy ancient language, because I believe that is more or less what he was, or perhaps it was the language spoken, but at that time, 2 weeks and a new language because he travels somewhere. And what languages were these? This is amazing. So, such things happen, and you made it a routine. So your students go there, study for 3 weeks, and they speak a language. And this is like, oh my God, I know this person only for 3 weeks. And we are like, Jesus, this is a miracle. Do you get my point? And I don't buy it, I just don't buy it. Because I really believe that we are strong and powerful as individuals when we do our work. And this is why I have this totally irritating, boring method of building it step by step. And I know the difference because I know what was happening in my life before that all started getting blocked, or my memory being moved elsewhere. So I believe that people in your group reading a history book, read the history, and well, it's obvious you have been reading about it. Okay, so this is Spanish Armada, 1588, simple, and they don't need to do any I don't remember what it was called, but the techniques that help you remember, like, so imagine now that express this number in different, in some signs. So 1 is like a candle, 5, what is 5 like? I don't remember what was the key, what picture you were to associate with it. 8, what is 8 like? Well, 8 is like a woman or whatever. And you imagine, okay, so 5, let's have something for 5. What can it be? It can be a snake. So let us imagine there's a candle, and next to the candle there's a snake waving, and then there are 2 women sitting at the table, and what is going to happen between the snake and the 2 women. So this is, to cut a long story short, Spanish Armada. Victorious Queen Elizabeth I. Here she comes. So you can imagine that there's a huge picture on the wall where you can see the battle, and there's the spirit of Elizabeth I, the Albion, the White, as the victorious queen. And you will probably remember for the rest of your life that the Spanish Armada was in 1588. Uh, so, I mean, I was interested in it, but in those different methods and all the creativity it involves obviously is freeing a potential that is different from this, like you are like a craftsman, you just go blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I feel like throwing up, to be honest. But I truly, this is like you know that you have some gift because if you have them, you know it. You know that you are bright. Come on, don't tell me that everybody is the same. You go to your classes, you see other students doing whatever, and you see yourself doing whatever. And also, even if you interpret a poem, you can judge what they see in the poem, what they are able to say about the poem, and what you can say about the poem. And you can also see it in your professors, no matter what title they have. And so you know it. We are not the same, and we are not equal. We should be equal in our rights, and to that equality as where we are guilty and where we have some surplus for work or for all we have been doing in our life. And yeah, I've lost the thread, but let us put it all together what's on my mind, because it has to do with the methodology you choose. Uh, so, you have this, you have all this freedom, you have all those brains, not all those brains your own. You have, you, you are a success, simply. And then I have learned it. There's this work to do, and the work has to do with basics, and this is like, uh, part of the teacher training in Poland at school uh, is going from one stage to another as you grow as a teacher and become more and more experienced. So obviously you have the practice, but for example, at the first level, you are to know the legal documents that have to do with school. And one of the obvious legal documents is the Constitution of Poland. So I have not learned it properly. I have not prepared it even. I read some of it, that parts that applied, but I probably should have read all of it and learned all of it by not only by heart, that is knowing word by word, but also with understanding. So first to understand it and then learn it. And then I would know that I have really done my job as far as the first stage of becoming the teacher is concerned. And this is my current perspective. Obviously, now I would not be able to do it because of what they have done to my brain. So I can learn something, but then, Maya Rostowska needs to have her constitution at hand. Boom! It goes to Maya Rostowska. Ola Kisha is our new start. Can you see her rising? Oh my God! Let's finally see her shooting, and so on. And so basically, there are a lot of people in need. So whatever I learn, it can be used properly. But still, I'm telling you now about the teacher's progress. Look at the politicians. Okay? So this is a requirement for the teacher at the first stage of the development, knowing the legal documents that pertain to the job. And the politicians make the oath of protecting the Constitution. How many of them do know the Constitution? So, if they had known the Constitution, do you think they would be acting differently? Because I believe they would, if they have understood it. And that is more or less my point. So, these are rules. And, I'm pretty fed up with my Well, Agnieszka, it's good for knowledge and plus for thinking. I want my accent.